Pump the brakes. What just happened?
Speech and language is a complex process that involves many levels. To understand the error we just witnessed, let's discuss what normally happens.
According to the spreading activation model, there are 6 steps that we take to produce speech.
During the conceptual preparation stage, we select a lemma. This is a mental representation of the idea we want to communicate, which at this point in the process is merely an idea, not the word itself.
We have a number of different words that are close in meaning. In the lexical selection stage, we decide what we want to say by quickly going through our mental dictionary, made up of words we have prior knowledge of, and picking the word that best fits our lemma.
Then we choose appropriate grammatical markers in the morphological encoding stage. This is where we decide if the word should have grammatical markers such as plurals, past tense, or present progressive.
The next step, phonological encoding, helps us choose all the sounds, or phonemes, that are needed to pronounce that word.
In the phonetic encoding stage, our brain sends messages to the muscles that we use for articulation. This information sent consists of the motor movements necessary to produce each phoneme in the word.
In the final step, the articulation stage, we make the appropriate motor movements with our articulators based off of the message that was sent to our muscles. This movement of our articulators results in production of the phonemes needed for the chosen word. So let's take another look at what happened to Micayla. Hi, Micayla.
Morning, Hannah.
The spreading activation model tells us that this error occurred at the lexical selection stage. This means that there was an error in choosing a single word that best fits the person's idea that they wanted to communicate. Micayla said horning as a result of blending hello and good morning. Both words have similar meanings, so as Micayla conceptualized what to say in response, both sayings occurred in Micayla's lexicon as she thought of words to describe her idea. Instead of choosing only one word that best fit her idea, she activated both words. Every stage after the lexical selection stage was then affected by that error, resulting in her encoding information that had to do with both words rather than just one. This information was then all blended together, and at the articulation stage, a new word was created.
We are seeing the result of a lexical selection error, specifically called a blending error. Blends are a subcategory of lexical selection errors. More than one item is being considered during speech production. Consequently, the two items fuse together. Normally, you would monitor and catch the error before articulation occurs, but in this case, the error is not corrected. Typically, monitoring helps to prevent embarrassing outputs, such as blending.
However, when we are trying to select a word in our lexicon to communicate, we want to make sure we're not saying the wrong thing in order to avoid an embarrassing situation. As a result of this possible embarrassment, we have a spike in physiological response.
The galvanic skin response, or GSR, is one way to measure the spike in physiological response caused by emotional stress. This increased physiological response decreases our effectiveness to successfully carry out the 6 steps of the spreading activation model.
GSR is correlated with stress and anxiety. When under a time restraint for a response, pressure rises to communicate quickly, increasing GSR. Because Micayla was quickly walking by me, the amount of time she had to respond was limited, further increasing the physiological response. She was also distracted by the notes she was reading, which caught her off guard. This gave her an even more limited amount of response time, further contributing to the increase in physiological response.
We are more likely to notice errors before we produce them if we have less pressure on our cognitive system. However, as our cognitive system becomes overloaded, we have to put forth much more effort to correctly express our intended idea.
Saying hello isn't as easy as you may have thought. There is a lot that goes into planning and executing even the most simple words and phrases. The spreading activation model is an intricate process that happens within a matter of seconds, so it's not unusual for an error to occur, especially if you're under additional stress and time restraints. If you're overloaded or extra sleepy, watch out for embarrassing blending errors.
Happy talking!